Daniel here for Tabletop for One. Please join me at the table as I do a solo playthrough of Revive. And I thank you for joining me for the solo playthrough of Revive. I've gone ahead and set up the board here, but I'll explain how the setup goes. You're going to place on your player board your resource tracker on the crystal number 1 and 0 on the rest. You'll place progress tokens on each of the big circles and the hexagons on your board. You're going to place your trackers in the one space of each of their tracks by color. You gain 1 energy token. You'll put the switch in the on position and you'll have your action tracker right here. On the faction board here, you're going to have your buildings on the side here. You have 3 large buildings and 5 small buildings, and all your populate markers on the board here. Then you'll have 5 of your progress tokens here. Around the board, you're going to have different markets for different items. So I've put them, they're off screen here, but I have 5 slot modules available for obtaining up there. And then on the side here, on the left side, I have a bunch of machines. You have 3 face up and available. I have 5 cards at the top of the board here. This is not an ideal setup necessarily, but I'm trying to put as much on the camera as possible for you to see. I also have the 6 colored artifacts on the right, a stack of minor artifacts, and I have my clan marker on the 0 score spot, as well as the bottom of the Hibernation track on the bottom right. On the board itself here, you're going to shuffle the 5 starting tiles that have the S on the back, and you're going to place them in their given spaces on the board, as shown. You're going to shuffle the rest of the land tiles and place them. There's outlines on the board to show you exactly how they get placed, so it's no big deal. And then you're going to randomly choose 4 large location tiles that have endgame scoring on them. These are also double-sided, so you just randomly choose which side and which ones. And then you're going to draw 2 and choose one of these endgame scoring cards. And these endgame scoring cards will give you points based off of these criteria here. This one says 1 point for every energy token you have. This one says 1 point for every faction symbol you've uncovered on your faction board. And this one gives you 1 point for every time you've populated the main board. You'll also take 6 cards, starting cards, and these all have the A symbol on them. There's B, C, and D. You want to make sure you have all of the same letter. And then you're going to take 3 and you're going to flip these over. These are going to become your hand. The other 3 are going to be face down, and you will gain those when you hibernate. So let's talk about some of the actions of the game. So there's 2 main actions that are going to cause your action tracker to move up. You get a total of 20 actions. And so when your action tracker leaves that final spot up here and moves off the board, that is going to be the end of the game. You'll be able to use your resources and machines and stuff, but you will no longer be able to play cards or hibernate. And those are the 2 actions that cause you to use up your action points: playing cards or hibernating. So if you play a card at any time, you're going to slot it into your board. First, you'll move the action tracker up 1 space. Then you'll choose one of the 4 slots that you currently have available. You can unlock the side slot later, but right now you have the top and bottom slots. And so what you're going to do is you're going to choose either to use the top part of the card or the bottom part of the card. A lot of times the cards will just give resources, like this one gives a food and a book. But this on the bottom here allows you to exchange resources for other resources 3 times. And so if you slot it in the bottom, you're going to get the bottom action. And if you slot it in the top, you'll just get the top action. And so you're going to choose which cards to use in which way. Once a slot has been filled, you can't add to it unless you have certain cards that allow it. For instance, this card here shows a slot at the top of this card. So after placing this in the top slot of your player board, you're able to slot in a card behind it and use that space. Now, the other action that costs action points is Hibernate, and that's going to cost 2 points. When you hibernate, you move this up 2 spaces. Then you take the face down cards that you have stacked, and you're going to flip them over and add that to your hand. If you have any cards left over from before the hibernate, you'll add those straight to your hand as well. You don't lose those cards. Any cards you have slotted on the board, you're going to remove those and put those face down. And any energy that you've used, you're going to gain that back to the middle. And you're going to put this switch back to the on position. And then you're going to move up the hibernate track. And so on the hibernate track, there are various bonuses along here. As you move up, you gain those bonuses. So the first one gives you a slot module. Next one gives you a point and a crystal. Next one, a chest. Next one major artifact is lost, but you gain an energy token. And the last one gives you 2 points. All right, so let's talk about some of the actions here. So you're, apart from using your cards or hibernating, you're able to do other actions that do not cost action points. And those actions include exploring, which are revealing these tiles, building, which places one of these buildings on the board, or populating, which places a population figure on the board. Anytime that you want to populate or build, you have to count range from either the chasm, if you haven't built anything yet or populated, or from one of your tokens on the board. And so for populating, you have to go to one of these spaces here. So there's currently only 2 available on the board. And anytime you populate, you're going to pay the cost on your board, which right here is 2 books. This populate marker will cost 2 books, and you'll place it on the board. Now, if I want to place it here in this spot, it's only going to cost me 2 books. Anytime you have spaces in between a previous token or the chasm and the place where you're placing your marker, you have to pay for range. So if I wanted to go in this spot here, this is 1 space in between, and so that's going to cost 1 food or 1 range if you have range bonuses. So, but if I go here, it's just going to be the 2 books. Here, 2 books and 1 food. Okay? Anytime you place a population marker on the board, you unlock the ability, the passive ability on your faction board. In this case here, this one says I may spend books instead of food or salvage. And so it's very useful. It basically makes books almost wild. Other abilities here will grant other bonuses, like this one improves your faction ability. So anytime you use your faction ability, not only will you get the 2 books, but you also get another book and a point. This one here lets you skip forest and water when counting range. And then these ones at the top just give you straight up bonuses. So this one gives you an artifact and a chest, artifact and 2 points, an artifact and an energy token. As you move up this technology track, you got to follow the lines. So this one can lead to here and here. This one can lead to here and here and here and here. You cannot go from here to that one. All right, as you build on the board, you'll be placing these buildings. The small ones cost 3 salvage. The big ones cost 5 salvage. What the buildings do is they give you bonuses based off of what's adjacent to them. You can only place buildings on these tan areas. It's called the sand. And so if I were to place a building here right now, it would just cost me 3 salvage because there's no spaces in between that and the chasm. And so if I placed it here, I would gain 1 advancement on my green technology and 1 slot module. So whenever you gain advancement on your technologies, you just move it 1 space along the track. They're numbered, so it's easy to see. And if you reach one of these spots with a progress marker and you've unlocked both sides of it, notice that this next one here requires 3 in your green and 7 in your gray. So you got to unlock both sides. But this one here just required me to move up once there. And now I've unlocked that. So you take your progress marker and place it on your player board, slotting it in here. And of course, as you slot them, you will gain bonuses such as energy tokens and artifacts when you cover those up. And now I have access to this machine. And so this machine here can grant me the ability to remove a card that's slotted on my player board and add it to my face down pile. That makes the card available after my next Hibernation, but also it opens up a slot if I want to use the slot again. There's other bonuses as well, and we'll go over those as I unlock them. If you use a big building, you get twice the bonuses. So if I was to go here at this point, I have to count range from my last token, or not my last token, but the nearest token. So it's one space in between. So I'd have to pay 1 food plus the 5 salvage for the big building. But then I get 2 advancements on my yellow and 2 advancements on my green. And if when you reveal a tile and it shows one of these bonuses and it gets placed next to a building you already have, you automatically get those bonuses right away for those buildings. The ones in the water here are one-time bonuses. So once one building has achieved that bonus, no other buildings placed next to it can gain them. But in this case here, it gives you a slot module. So you're able to choose from one of the 5 slot modules and slot this into your board. It can go on the top slots, bottom slots. But on the slots here, you'll have one that shows a check mark with a slot module token on it. If you place a slot module in that spot, you immediately get what that slot module has on it. So in this case here, I would gain 2 books. And so you just move your resource marker up. Now, anytime that I place a green card in this slot, as indicated by the green colors on here, I will gain those 2 books. If I place a different color card in this slot, I will not get that bonus. Some of the slot modules have multicolors, so if you place a green or a white card in the slot, you'll gain one of those books. Or in this case here, white or yellow gives you a food. All right, the last action you can do is explore. And so explore lets you flip over one of these tiles. And once again, you have to count range. So if I was to explore this one right now, I have no buildings or population markers on the board. I'd have to count range from the chasm. That's 1, 2 in between the chasm and this tile. So that cost me an extra 2 food. And then I pay the cost. 2 books and 2 food. And then I gain this bonus. So I gain 4 points plus 1 card from the market. Okay? And so once you gain that, then you flip over the tile. You can position it one of 2 ways. So rotate it 180 degrees to fit in that spot and fit it the way you want it. Now that tile's available to build or populate on. If I didn't mention before, crystals are wild. This switch lets you gain one of the basic resources. You'll see everything else as we go. All right, so I think we're ready to go here. So I have these cards here. And I think the first thing that I want to do is I want to use this one here. And so I'm going to use the top portion of this card here, and I'm going to slot it in right here. And that's going to grant me 1 book and 1 food. And now I will actually want to go ahead and populate for this one here. It's going to cost me 2 books. So as it stands right now, I only have 1 book, but I do have 1 crystal, so that's a wild. So I'm going to spend 1 book, 1 crystal, and I'm going to populate the board. And I'll place this one right here. I don't have to pay any range since it's adjacent to the chasm. And now I can spend books as food or salvage when I pay costs. And of course, I forgot to spend my action for that card. And so the next card I want to use is this here. And this uses my faction ability. My faction ability grants me 2 books. So I'm going to go ahead and slot it here. Paying the action for that, because I'm using a card. I will gain the 2 books. And then I take one of my progress markers from my board for using my faction ability and place it on the track. And next, I'm going to use this card here, so I pay an action for that. I'm going to slot it in the top slot, which is going to give me 1 gear or salvage and 1 food. And now I want to build a building. So in order to build a building, I need 3 gears, and I also need to determine range. So I think I want to go ahead and build the building here, which now I can't count the chasm since I have a token on the board. So it's 1 space in between here and my population marker. So I do need to pay 1 food. So we got 1 food, 1 gear, and then I can pay my books as gears. So that's the last 2 gears. And I'm going to take this building here and place it in that spot. And now I get to take 1 slot module and add it to my board. So I'm going to go ahead and take this one here and add it to this spot. This is going to grant me 2 books immediately. Again, when you put it in the check mark spot, you get it right away. And then I get to advance on my green track. So I move here and I unlock this ability. Place the progress marker in its next spot on the track. And now I can use that machine. And I think I'll go ahead and do that. And I'm going to take this card here and turn it face down and put it in my face down pile. And now at this point, I want to do a population action again. I have 2 books and 1 food. The only place I can go for populate is right here. And so I need 1 more book. I have the food for range. So I need 1 more book. So we're going to use the switch here. So we drop the switch down, granting me 1 more book. Now I have the 3 books I need for my next population marker. And I'm going to spend those 3 plus the 1 for range. And I'm going to take this one from the board. And this is the one that improves my faction ability. Which, if you notice, I removed that card and added it to my face down pile so I can have it again next turn. So I'm buffing that card for the next after the next Hibernate. So I'm going to place this here. And at this point, I don't have any more resources to use. And so I'm going to go ahead and hibernate. Now, when you hibernate, you're going to spend 2 action points. You're going to take your face down pile and add it to your hand. So those are my cards to use. And then you'll remove any cards from the slots. You're going to turn those face down. You're going to take your energy back, flip the switch on, and we're going to move up on the hibernation track, which gives me another slot module. So at this point, I'm going to take this slot module here and add it to this spot, granting me 1 food. All right, so then we proceed, and now I have these cards available here. I definitely want to use my faction ability. And so I'll start with, I'll start with this one here, because it's going to give me a slot module. So I'm going to stick it in this slot here. Since the green matches the green here, that's going to gain me 2 books plus a slot module. And so I'm going to go ahead and take this one here and slot it in right here. Now I don't get that salvage right away because it wasn't in a checkmark spot. And I have to spend 1 action for that card. And so now I'm going to go ahead and use this ability here, spending 1 action for that card, and slot it in here. The yellow matches both of these tiles, so I will gain 1 salvage and 1 food. Then I activate my faction ability, which gives me 1, 2, 3 books now, and 1 point. So I move my point marker down 1. Anytime you gain a blue point, it's automatic. Purple points are at the end of the game. And there's my 3 books. Now I'm at 5 books. So I got a lot of resources to work with now. And so now I think I'm going to go ahead and build again. And so this time I'm going to build in this position here. It'll get me the yellow and the green. And so we need 1 food and 3 gears. So 1, 2, 3. Again, I can spend my books as gears when paying costs. And now I will place one of my small buildings right here. That's going to grant me 1 on the yellow track, which will unlock this token here. And now I have a machine that gives me +1 to my range. So I can use that with my energy. And then I advance on the green track 1 space. That does not unlock this one yet because I need the gray marker to be at or past this spot. And now I want to go ahead and explore. So I need 2 books and 2 food. I don't need any range because this is adjacent to my building. And so I have 1 food and 3 books. Again, spending 1 of those books as a food. And I will gain 4 points, which now grants me a chest. And so I gain this chest here, which gives me a book and a salvage. You don't have to use the chest right away. Let's say you were at max resources and you don't want to gain this, gaining no resources. But in this case, I'm going to go ahead and gain those right now. And then I gain a card. So I can gain 1 of the 5 cards here on the board or a face down card. I think I'm going to gain this one here. This one here, when I play it on either side, will allow me to play another card without using an action point. So I think this is a good one for me. I'll add it to my hand, and then I replenish here. By the way, during the Hibernate action, you are able to refresh all the markets as you want. So you can discard the cards from the card market or the tokens from the machine market and so on, and then replenish them. Okay, so now that I've gained my card, we're going to go ahead and flip over this tile here. And this is what I gain. And so if I place this here, I'll gain 1 more on the progress track because I already have a building adjacent to it. If I flip it around, I will gain a slot module. And I think that's what I want to do. So I'm going to gain this slot module, which is a green and white. It gives a book. I'm going to stick it in one of my top slots here, gaining a book right away. All right, so now I want to go ahead and use one of my machines here. And I'm going to use this machine here, which lets me discard a card from the slot. I'm going to take this card here and discard it. It goes in my face down pile. Now I have this slot open again. So we're going to use that new card that I got, this one here, and we're going to stick it in the bottom slot. So it's going to grant me 1 book and the use of a gray card for free. So we're going to pay the action point for that, put the card underneath. And now since the green matches the green, I'm going to get a total of 3 books. And so now I can play gray card for free. So I'm going to take this card here and I'm going to slot it in at the top. And that's going to grant me 2 salvage as well as 1 more book. So now I'm kind of swimming in resources right now. So perhaps it's time to explore again, and maybe we'll explore this one here. It's going to be a range of 1 from the building there. It's going to cost me 3 food. So plus the range, that's 4 food. So we'll go ahead and spend 4 books as my 4 food, bringing that down to 2. And we'll go ahead and flip this over. Well, we got to get 2 points and then a card. Now, I don't like any of the cards in the market at the moment, so I'm going to go ahead and draw one from the top of the deck. And this is the card I received here. And now we're going to flip the tile. And so this is the tile that I was able to receive here. I went ahead and flipped it into that position. I think that's going to best serve me. And now I want to build a big building in this spot right here. I really want the 4 bonuses to the yellow track that I'm going to get from that. So I need 5 gears. Or 5 salvage, and I only have 3 and 2 books, so that's enough, but it's 1 range away, so I need 1 food. So I'm going to spend my switch, gaining 1 food. So now I have the 3 gears, the 2 books as gears, and the 1 food for range, and that's going to let me build one of my big buildings in that spot. And so now that'll give me 4 to my yellow track based on this position here. Once again, big buildings give double the bonuses. I don't get this slot module again because I've already received it. We're going to move that tracker up 4 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now that has uncovered this slot here. All right, so first we're going to place the progress tracker on the track here, which actually covered up an energy symbol, so I gain 1 more energy. And then I can choose from the market over here what machine I want to put in that position. So I think I'm going to go ahead and put this one here. It gives me 1 food and 1 point when I use that machine. So I slot that in there. Now I can activate it at any time with energy. And, well, we might as well, right? So let's go ahead and spend it, gaining 1 food and 1 point. So I think I'm going to do one more card play before we hibernate. And so this is going to cost 1 action point. And I'm going to slot this in at the top. It's going to grant me a book and a salvage. I don't have any slot modules in that spot, so I don't get anything there. And so now I'm going to go ahead and hibernate. So that's going to take 2 action points. Flip the switch. Gain these cards to my hand. I already had 1 card, so now I just add those to it. We're going to unslot all these cards. And we'll take those and put them face down. I recover my energy back to the middle. And then I move up on the hibernation track. It's going to grant me 1 point and a crystal. And now we're ready to continue. Actually, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to discard 3 of those cards from the card row. And now we've replenished the card row. So the first thing I want to do is spend 1 action point. And this one here. I'll slot this in here. That's going to gain me 2 books and a slot module. And so I'll gain this one here that gives me a gear and place it in this spot at the top here, which is going to give me 1 gear right away. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to spend 1 energy to gain 1 food and 1 point. This is going to give me another chest. So let's see what we got. We get 1 point and we get to recover 1 energy. I'm not going to spend this yet because I don't know that I want to recover that energy. So we'll wait. So now I'm going to spend 1 action point and play this card here in this slot. That's going to grant me 1 book, 1 salvage, and then I can play another gray card for free. So I have this one here in hand, and I'm going to place it in the bottom slot here. That'll gain me 1 food, 1 salvage, and I get to advance my gray marker 1 space, which will unlock this here. And so now at this point I have a bunch of resources to spend. I think I want to go ahead and explore this one here. There's no range to it since it's next to my building. So it's going to cost me 2 books and 2 food to explore. That's going to gain me 4 points. And then a card. And I'll take this card here. And then we'll flip this over. I think I'm going to place it like this. And so now I'm going to spend 1 more action point to play a card. We're going to go with this card here. Place it in this slot here. That's going to grant me 1 gear from the module, 1 book, and 1 food. And so I think I'm going to build again. I have a lot of gears. I can just go ahead and build right here with the big building. So we're going to spend 5 gears. There's no range to it. I'll place one of my big buildings right there. That'll give me an extra energy. And 4 to my yellow track. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That does not unlock any progress markers at the moment. And then I want to explore now up here. Right next to my population marker, so there's no range. We're going to spend 2 food and 2 books. That's going to grant me 4 points. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now I gain my first artifact from crossing that threshold. And so I'll gain one of the purple ones. The purple ones help score energy tokens. And I've already got 3 energy tokens, so I'm doing pretty good on that. And then I'll gain 1 card. We'll gain this yellow card here. And then we'll flip the token. And so the last thing I want to do is I want to populate the board again. So I can populate here. It doesn't cost me anything. I have 1 book, 1 crystal. So I need another book if I'm going to do that. But I think this is what I'm going to do. So first of all, I'm going to spend this. Okay, this gives me 1 point and lets me take 1 energy back. So we will take that one back. And then I will spend that energy once again, gaining 1 food and 1 point, which gives me a chest. And this chest gives me 2 books. Wow. Nice. All right. And so I'm going to spend 1 energy to give me 1 range, and then 1 crystal and 3 books to unlock this final population marker here on this side of the track. And we're going to place it in this large token here. Now this large token here will grant me 1 point for the spot that my tracker is on. My tracker is on the 10 spot currently, so that would be 10 points. I also gain 1 artifact and 1 chest. So I gain the purple artifact here, and then this chest here, which gives me a slot module. And so I'm going to add this slot module to this top slot here. It doesn't give me a bonus right away, but we'll see if we can use it after my next hibernation action. And so I'm going to go ahead and flip my switch to give me 1 food, and then I'm going to explore this tile here. This only takes 2 food, so we spend those 2 food that I have, gaining 1 point and 1 card. Gain this one here, and then I'll flip over this tile. And so we'll place this tile like so. And so I will gain a yellow gain 1 on my yellow track, and then 2 on my gray track since it's next to both of these buildings. And so that unlocked this machine spot here on the gray track. That's also going to give me an artifact since I just covered up an artifact symbol. We'll gain a white one. And it also unlocked this one here. So we got a couple machines that we're unlocking right now. So we get a yellow machine, which I think we'll go ahead and gain this one here. It gives me +2 range. And then a gray machine, which I think I'll gain this one. This one lets me gain movement on 1 of my tracks. And so we might as well use that. A little combo action here. So we're going to use that machine there and move the gray one up 1. And that's going to unlock this spot here, which gave me another artifact. And then another energy token since I'm covering up that energy spot. Very nice. So I gain the other white artifact now. So a lot of stuff before I'm having to hibernate. There's a lot of combo action in this game, so you get a lot of good stuff going. And so I guess the final action I'm going to do, well, maybe it's not the final one. So I'm going to use this energy to remove the card from the top here. And add that to my face down pile. And then I'm going to go ahead and use this card in that top slot. So that's going to grant me 2 gears, 1 crystal, and 1 food. Of course, that costs an action to use that card. So now I only have 5 action points left. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the 1 to push it off the board. I got to hibernate once, so that's going to take up 2 actions. So I don't have many card actions left. So perhaps I should go ahead and build a small building again, this time right here. And so that's going to cost me 3 gears and 1 food. So 1 food, 2 gears, 1 crystal. And I'll build that small building there. That'll give me 1 on the green track, which unlocks this spot here. And I think we'll gain this token here. This discounts putting a populate marker on the board by 2 books. So that can be really useful for me. And then we also gain a chest. And so I'll gain this chest here, which gives me 2 books. Wow. This is the round that never ends, which is a good thing. I love all extending my rounds as much as possible. It's really good. So I could populate right now if I wanted to. I could populate right here. Oh, actually, I don't have any energy. I was going to say if I could discount it, I could do that. So I think at this point, it's finally time to hibernate. So I spend 2 action points to hibernate. I'm going to take my deck, place it face up, remove the 4 cards, flip those face down. We probably won't see those the rest of the game. Return all the energy to the center. Flip the switch back up and advance on the hibernation track. And that gives us a chest. And that chest gives me +1 to one of my technologies. We'll go ahead and push the yellow to the max here. And if I get the gray to the next spot, that's going to unlock an end game bonus. Perfect. So the first card I want to play is this one here. I'm going to slot it in right here. That's going to grant me 2 salvage, 1 food, and then it lets me play a green card for free. We do have to pay the action cost of that card. And so I'm going to place this green card in this top slot here for that action. And that's going to give me 1 book, actually 2 books because of the slot module, and then 1 salvage. And so now I'm looking at progressing more over there and possibly building more for tech bonuses. I really, at this point, need green and gray. And so I could build a building here, a large one, that would grant me a lot of bonuses. But I think we'll explore first in that last space before we get to the large location at the end there. It's going to cost 2 food, 2 books, and 1 range. So let's go ahead and spend the 1 range token there. And then 1 food, 1 from the switch, and 2 books. That's going to gain me 4 points, which will gain me 1 more major artifact. So now we have one of the orange ones. I will gain a card. We'll gain this yellow card here. And the reason why I'm gaining these yellow cards is because if I unlock this here, I'm gaining 2 points per yellow card at the end of the game. So, and that's non-starter cards. All right, now we can go ahead and flip this. And I'll place that like that. So now let's go ahead and look at building in that spot. So I have 3 gears and 2 books. That's going to be 5 gears for the build. I think before I do that, I'm going to spend 1 energy to gain 1 food and 1 point. Now I have the food I need for the range to build in that spot. So we're going to go 1 food, 2 books, 3 salvage to build my last large building, placing it on that spot. Now that grants me 2 green and 2 gray. So we'll start with the green here. That doesn't unlock anything right now. Then we have 2 gray. And that actually unlocks 2 of these. So this one here, which gives me endgame bonus points. And this one here, which gives me another machine. And so I'm looking at probably gaining this machine here, which lets me discount builds. I have 2 small buildings left, and I could build them for minimal resources if I use that machine. And then that water tile there grants me 2 wild advancements on my tracks. So I have to decide if I want to go towards the gray and try and unlock further here. I think I at least want to do this one here for the green to unlock this spot. We'll place that there. This is going to cover up the last energy token on the progress track, which will grant me 1. And then I'll do the last one with the gray. All right. That was quite the turn. And I'm out of resources again. So I definitely want to use my 2 faction cards as the last 2 cards of the game. I'm just deciding how I want to use them. So I'll spend this one here. That costs 1 action. So I have 1 action left of the game after this one. And that's going to give me 1 food, 1 salvage, 3 books, and a point from my faction ability. And then I take this faction marker and place it on the board. And now at this point, I do believe I want to go ahead and explore into that final spot in the corner. And so it's going to cost 3 books. Actually, we can use our energy here to discount that. So it's 1 book and then 1 food for the range. Of course, I could use my energy on this spot for the range, but I'm going to save my energy for now. And so then we'll remove this one here and place it in that corner. And now I can skip forest and water for range, which I might end up using towards the end here. We'll see how that goes. And so let's go ahead and spend the last of these here. We're going to build a building, and we're going to build it right here in this spot. So it's going to cost 3 gears, or salvage, which I can use the books for. So that's 3. And then I have no range to get to the spot. And that's going to grant me 2 to the gray tech. So we move that up. And that unlocks a progress token, as well as the final major artifact. So I want to play this card as my final card of the game, but I want to slot in this slot here. So I'm going to use energy to remove this slot, pay the action point to play the card, and slot the card here. This is going to give me a total of 3 books, 1 salvage, and 1 food, as well as 1 point off of my faction board. And also we get 1 progress marker placed for using my faction ability there. Once again, even though I've used up all my card actions, I can still use any of the free actions that don't require any action points. So I just basically want to try and use up the rest of my resources here as much as possible. And so there's one thing that, there are 2 things that I want to do right now, and I don't think I can do both of them. For one, I want to move this marker to the end there. I don't think I'm going to have enough resources for that, but we'll see. And then I also want to place this last population marker. So I think the best thing to do is to populate. And so we're going to spend, I need 4 books to populate this one here. And so the way I'm going to get those 4 books is I'm going to go here with my energy, exchanging this food for a crystal, and then using the crystal and the 3 books to populate. And we're going to populate this spot here. It doesn't require any range since it's next to my buildings. And that's going to grant me 1 energy marker and 1 artifact. Now I've picked up all the major artifacts, so I just get a minor artifact now, only worth 2 points. And then I need to build. Once again, I don't think I can get the tech that I want to advance as far as I want. So we'll use this machine here to make the building cost less. So I have 1 building here. And the only place I can go is here. They'll use my 1 salvage. I'll gain 1 to the yellow, which gives me a food. So that's something. And then I'll gain 1 to the gray. But at this point, I have run out of resources. Had I had 2 food, I might have been able to explore this one here. But maybe I mismanaged my resources some way. All right, so that is the end of the play. And now I'm going to do the final scoring. You can skip to the final score in the chapter, or you can watch and see how it scores here. So the first thing you do is you score the lowest spot on your track here, which is 20 points here from me. And so I'll add that to my 28. That puts me at 48. And then you're going to add up the revealed population points here. I've got a total of 10. So that puts me at 58. And then you're going to gain points for your population markers on the large locations. So this one gives me points for for the spot that I'm in on my yellow track, which is 12 points. So that's going to put me at 70. And then the one in the corner is going to give me 2 points per energy marker, which I have 6. So that's another 12, putting me at 82. 82. And then I'm going to gather all my cards and sort them, because I'm going to get 2 points per yellow card that's not a starting card. And so these are all my non-starting cards here. And I've got 4 yellows. So that's going to gain me 8 points. And that puts me up to 90. Then I'm going to gain 2 points for my minor artifact here. And I'd gain a point for every 5 resources I had. But I don't have I don't have 5 resources. I just have 1. And then we're going to score these here. Now I have 2 of each of these artifacts on here. So basically I get to score these 3 times. So it's going to be 3 points per energy marker, which is going to be 18 points. And so from 92, that's going to put me at 110. And then I'm going to gain 3 points per faction symbol I uncovered, and I have 3 uncovered on my faction board. And that's going to gain me 9 points, 119. And then I gain 3 points per population marker on the board, and I have 5 of them on the board. And so that's another 15 points. And that puts me at 134 as my final score. And there you have it. That's been a playthrough of Revive. Now, once again, you can go through the campaign mode and unlock new modules, new factions, new cards, all sorts of extra things to enhance the gameplay. And it's a nice way to ease you into the extra rules and stuff that come with the gameplay. And so I encourage you to play through the campaign. You could, of course, skip the campaign and just unlock everything straight up. But it's kind of a fun way to do the game. Now, this is a beat your own score solo mode, but I could easily see myself figuring out scenario goals that, you know, you're required to complete. Like, let's say you max out 2 tech tracks, or reach 3 of the large locations, or something like that. You know, give yourself extra goals to complete, as well as getting a high score. But I very much enjoy this game. I've played this game over a half a dozen times, I think 8 now. I really like the combo nature of the game. I like maxing out your actions, because you're only given the 20 card actions, and you feel like you're against the clock. But as you can see towards the end there, I'm doing all these free actions, gaining resources, activating machines, all these extra combo abilities for the game. And so it's quite fun, and it keeps you engaged. And I honestly don't even think about the score. I'm just thinking about how much can I get done? How far can I get on the tech tracks? You know, how many progress markers can I get? Can I get them all? You know, and it's really a lot of fun. So I quite enjoy it. I do hope that this becomes more available real quickly for all you solo gamers out there. I think a lot of you will join this if you like Euro games. You will definitely enjoy this. And so please comment below and let me know what you think of the game. Let me know if I messed up any rules or missed some opportunities on the board. I'm not the best strategist, so it's possible. Please like this video and subscribe to this channel if you like the content you see here. And I thank you very much for watching Tabletop for One. Have a great night.